three. 1, 2, 3. Let's go.
Welcome, everybody, to Teach It Crypto. This is AZ Crypto, back better than ever. Mr. FOMO, special Thanksgiving, pre-Thanksgiving episode here. We've got a lot to talk about, and this is someone that no one has talked about on YouTube. I think we might be the first. There is a Voyager class action lawsuit just filed by Rosen law firm, and Mr. FOMO, this came as a kind of a surprise. I don't want to say out of nowhere, but this wasn't on anyone's radar in terms of it happening so soon. But basically, Voyager VGX account holders are being told that if they want to get in on this, there is a link where you can kind of your information. Basically, this is a class action lawsuit against Steve Ehrlich and the leadership team at Voyager. It's been filed. If you want to learn more about it, we'll have a link below. There's phone numbers, and they will ask you for your email, and they will ask you for proof that you did buy VGX. It's an interesting lawsuit. It does not affect your claim, so I think that's really important to understand. It's not as if you're taking on this road and you're saying, all right, I'm giving up my claim. You can have both at the same time. I want to learn more information myself before I make a decision. But obviously, they are claiming that Steve did some wrongdoing here in terms of the law, in terms of how he handled VGX and the VGX token. And it'll be interesting to see how many people actually do take this path.
I would hope that a lot of people would take this path because, and we'll leave a link below along with the phone number and the emails that they left in that article so that everybody can take part if they want to. But to me, this is a no-brainer. I love the accountability here. This is what we were looking for some of these folks. There's a lot of people that we've talked to. We even interviewed Robin, and she was talking about how, Steve was criminally liable for some of the things that he did and some of the things that he said. And so I like the idea of this. Do I think that we're going to see a ton of money from it? No, typically class actions don't render a ton of money for the plaintiffs. But at least it holds people accountable, and it tells people further down the line that, hey, if you do this, then you will be held accountable. So I do like that. I do like that the Rosen law firm has stepped up to do that. And just for reference, and you and I talked about this off air, Stephen Ehrlich hasn't stepped down. He's still soaking up checks, right?
Yeah. So yeah, unlike Sam and unlike Alex from Celsius, Steve right now during Thanksgiving is collecting his full salary, which is kind of disturbing. There's no way around it. It's disturbing. I mean, it's not a great look, Stephen. Not a great look.
I mean, yeah, you go from SBF, who is obviously kind of a sleazeball from what we've learned in the last week or so. And then you look at the fact that at least he had the guts to step down and admit some wrongdoing. But Stephen Ehrlich still going strong, still collecting those checks, even after he made tons of money last year through all of this. You lose more and more respect for this team as time goes on, and they don't, show any accountability.
At least cut your pay. I mean, my goodness. People are hurting. Their funds have been stuck. And it's now we're now going to December here, and we are far. Unfortunately, best case, even if we get a buyer, and the judge approves everything by January, we just want to be honest. We're looking more of a February, March timeline right here. We're still months away from a resolution, and the longer this goes, every day cost opportunity. For me, I would just hope that the UCC, and I'd love to have one of them on, we'll reach out, would really emphasize time here, because we've already gone through the process once. Time is of the essence, and it just hurts every day. It's kind of like the Groundhog Day nightmare of crypto. knowing that your funds are stuck, and it's like every time you think you get closer, you realize you're weeks and months away. Sadly, is what it is.
I don't. I think the Groundhog Day nightmare of crypto is that these things keep folding. It was Voyager, then Celsius, then FTX, and it's not getting better. It's not these bankruptcies aren't getting any less spectacular. Seems with each one, it's worse. With everyone that we see, and we start to look inside what was going on, these awful people are doing some terrible things, and every one gets worse and worse. It's not like, oh, they're learning their lesson and at least they're trying to get better within these organizations. They're not at all. It's really frustrating and disheartening.
Yeah. And, some big news. Japan looks like they are in the process next year for sure of testing out digital yen. And this is just the beginning. You're going to see a lot of countries follow through. And yes, everyone in crypto hates the idea of a digital dollar in the US, but I think it's going to be hard to stop. I think it'll happen gradually. I think they'll test it out. I think they'll give incentives, but eventually it's cost effective not to be printing actual physical dollars. That's reality.
Yeah, and paying all those people to do it as well. I mean, when you could manage it on nodes, across the nation, then I think that would probably.
And I think we're a decade away from it, and but I see it as it's inevitable. I think it's going to happen.
I think it's
people will scream and yell to try to stop it, but it's going to be tough. When governments can save billions of dollars, guys, they're going to eventually do it.
Right. I would just caution these governments because, I mean, you see Circle is working with the European Union on the digital euro, but they're building it on the Solana blockchain. So that's my question with all of these is where are they being built and how trustworthy is that blockchain? Because if you have a blockchain like Solana, not talking bad about them, but they have had outages. And so it worries me to know that they're building on Solana, that Circle's also working with the US on one of the groups working with the US on the digital dollar. I wonder who all I can find is that 3 mega banks in Japan are working on the digital yen with them. But I wonder what chain they're going to build on, or if they're going to build their own chain. And then I don't think it's necessarily a problem when you go across borders then, because they'll just do like they do now, where they hold accounts in every country in that currency so that they can just delete from that and raise up in their own currency. So they hold those accounts already. So I don't see it as a problem of interconnectivity or, interoperability, but I'm worried about, how hackable is it? We know North Korea is a big problem when it comes to hacking crypto. I think their GDP is mostly made up of crypto hacks. So my concern is, where are they building them? How secure are they? And how, and can they stay up and running? Can they scale to the amount of people that would be on those chains?
Well, speaking of Solana, I'm glad you brought it up. It's up almost 90% in the last 24 hours. Now, does this mean the bull run is back? Absolutely not. But you are starting to see some projects kind of have these pumps. Litecoin did. Actually, if you bought Litecoin a month ago, you got a nice exit right now, 47%. Yeah, so you're starting to see slow and surely some coins are having some mini pumps. I think you're going to see that a lot in 2023. So pay attention to the show. I think right now, if you're holding some Avalanche right now and eGold, and you want to, in the next 30 days, get a little bit of a nice little bump, those would be two I would definitely hold on to. Binance. So I think what you're going to see is you're going to see some casual ups and downs all the way 2023 before we really take off in 2024. So even though we're not going to be in a bull run in 2023 for sure, I think the ability to make money will be a lot easier just because you're going to see a lot of these mini pumps as people anticipate the global economy recovering and the next bull run after the next halving in Q2 of 2024.
Yeah, and I think there are a lot of projects, especially recently, Solana is definitely one of them because of their link to FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried. I mean, he had Solana Sams as NFTs you could buy on that platform, for God's sakes. But I think that you could probably buy a lot of different things because of that recent dip, especially if you took advantage of that recent dip. You might even be working towards profits. Like I say, if you bought a Solana knowing that it was suffering because of its links to FTX, and then you turn around now and you got that 19%, it might be time to take profits. But, you know, I've mentioned before that some of the others that absolutely have strength, like Cardano, ADA is down in the 31, 32 cent range. And that's one that, you know, I've mentioned before, when it gets down into this range, it's a buy for me. And I definitely pick some up to, you know, see if I can flip it back up to 40 and earn my 20% on them. But that's one that I believe in just because of the strength of the community, the strength of the holders. You know, there are entire channels dedicated to Cardano, for God's sake. So it's one that you can count on to come back after a dip like we had recently.
Yeah, and I mentioned this to you off the air. VeChain under 2 cents is a nice little pickup.
Yes.
Again, and there's two ways to look at this. You DCA slowly right now, knowing things can still go down, or you you buy for the long term over the next year and a half to 2 years. No desire to drag this out. Yeah, a lot of people, you're right, Mr. Slim, they want this over with. Problem is we just don't have the power. And at first, there were some third parties willing to buy your bid. Very hard to find now because of all the uncertainty in crypto and the fact that FTX US went under and they were the winning bid. I'm hopeful, and I know we got to talk about this. There is starting to be some anti-Binance sentiment in the Voyager circles a little bit. Not a lot, but the people that kind of the loud minority about not wanting Binance to buy the platform. If Binance can secure funding and give us back 75% of value in the next 30 to 60 days, I would say that is, considering the horrible situation, a decent outcome. I think 70 to 75% is still realistic if a Binance is a buyer, because they do have the deep pockets. The other people, the other parties that are mentioned, just don't know if they have the funding to pull it off. That's the problem.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is how is Binance going to, you know, how are they going to pay, and are they going to run into that same national security trouble that they ran into before? You know, was that really something caused by SBF, and has that disappeared because SBF?
Well, if they do go through Binance US, that might be a way around it, because Binance US has some different leadership.
And it's misguided anyway, because, you know, CZ is Canadian.
So there could be some circles that Binance could play. I would love them to, take the Voyager app and redo things with it in the Binance name, put some BNB on there. But I think, unfortunately, those days are gone. I think the chances of us seeing the Voyager app up, whatever it's called, are probably not realistic. That my dream would be we get our crypto back, whatever they can give us, and the app comes back. But that's not, and I think CZ, if he has the right people around him and say, hey, this is kind of a nice little app. They do have a nice little community. Are you interested in a future for VGX along with BNB? Could VGX kind of have a future? Maybe he would say yes. My guess is he just wants to destroy the competition like Sam did. Mm-hmm. But again, at this point, people want their funds back. People want their money, especially if you had USDC. You could be using that in a million ways right now, either in crypto or in your personal life. So that's just
one of my questions is does it have to be a 100% sale of the entire thing, or can different entities come in and buy different pieces that they want? You know what I mean? Like, it could Binance come in and buy the platform and the customers, essentially, to cut the knees out of the competition, but then leave VGX alone and allow somebody else to come in and swoop on it?
I'm going to say no, and here's why. I think the judge wants a clear conclusion. I don't think he wants a messy conclusion. And I think the judge is going to want to secure the end of this in the next 2 to 3 months. This is been going on for a while. Remember, this was expedited, and the goal was to get this. The original goal was we're supposed to have a conclusion at the end of October, right? It's signed, sealed, and delivered. So at this point, hopefully the UCC feels the same way. I know they're hearing from a lot of customers. Let's get this over with. I think a clear buy at this point and a clear percentage, and people moving on is the best. In a perfect world, yeah, VGX would continue and it would get a rebirth, but we got to live in a reality here, and I think that's gone.
And I think Mr. Sim brings up something that's a good point there. Binance supports more assets than FTX did, so it'll be a cleaner move for your portfolio. You won't have to take so much in cash, and there's also tax implications on that as well. And so if you don't have to take so much in cash, you can keep it in kind, then you'll be able to avoid those taxes.
Yeah, they do. They do. So what's interesting is the Binance US holds a decent amount of tokens, but Binance itself, they have every token available pretty much that was on Voyager. So it might be easier for them. Now, the question would be, could they then offer those through Binance US or the Voyager platform and call that Binance US now? That could be that would be my dream scenario. But again,
they bought the IP and the platform in order to integrate.
Yeah, so the current Voyager app just becomes the Binance US app with all the tokens, and you get your crypto back, however much they can give you, 75. So, for example, if you had 100,000 USDC, they would be able to give you 75,000 USDC on there, how much the percentage is, and then you can decide what to do. You can decide, or someone that has Bitcoin, they get 75% of their Bitcoin back, but it's on the platform. Now they can take it away, but for taxes, it's not a sale. Now, for a lot of people, though, the tax hit would actually help them because they're selling at a loss. Most people are in the red. Very few people bought and are in the green because of the timing of the bankruptcy. Right?
Can you imagine how you'd be kicking yourself if you held all the way through the bull market and now you had to take those taxes?
Yeah,
that would be infuriating.
Some people are in that situation.
Real quickly, let's move on from Voyager. What do you think about New York taking aim at crypto miners? They're not going to allow crypto miners to move forward and buy any more licenses to do any more crypto mining in New York because of the environment.
Well, I never saw New York as a mining future anyways. So I think I don't think it's a big deal at all. Mining has become extremely expensive. And so the question is in the future, who is going to be able to afford it? I think you're going to have a lot of deep pockets to mine. So I'm not surprised New York is saying no.
Yeah, I'm not surprised either because of, they sort of lean, mostly liberal and you could see that they would, lean towards more towards the environment. But I think it's sort of misguided. I think if you were going to do something like that for the environment, you just make sure that they were.
Well, it's about public sentiment,
some sort of renewable like solar or something like that.
We've talked about this right now. Outside the crypto world, crypto has a negative reputation. It will until people can make money again in 2024, and everyone will be jumping back in. So it's just one of those things. It's more of the appearance than it is reality.
I think it's more of a show than anything. But
and as crypto becomes more widely accepted over the next 5 to 10 years, you'll see the laws change. That's it. But for now, it's popular to put it down because we know regulation is coming. But listen, guys, we got some great shows coming up. We got a Trust Wallet episode coming up about how you can buy a lot of things without having to go on exchanges and keep your stuff safe. And we've got some top coins that you want to be holding a year from now.
What about institutional wallets? We forgot to talk about that too.
Well, yeah, I touched on the JP Morgan when I did the solo. That's going to be really, really big because there could be some insurance involved, and it really depends on how much they offer on that wallet in terms of holding. But that could be pretty huge.
And I think that's the important thing. If JP Morgan Chase, if these institutions start offering wallets and they can offer you insurance, that will start to bring people around towards that mass adoption curve. But until it's insured, until we know what you can buy with them, what you can hold on them, until we know how secure they are, they become a problem, right? And it's also a hot wallet, from what I understand. It's not like they're selling you their own version of the ledger that you'll be able to take offline.
We'll see. And a lot of it's going to be about rules because Ledger is going to face some regulations too. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
And
But guys,
there will
we really,
be like that US version of Ledger, and there will be that the ones that are compliant in different zones like Euro, UK, all that, and then there will be the ones that are sort of a free for all that can exist outside the country or on VPNs if you're a DeFi degen.
yeah, but guys, we really, really would love it if you guys would hit that subscribe, that share, that bell notification. We're pushing towards 400. Hopefully, before the end of the year, the more you guys could help us out would be greatly appreciated. We want to bring you more and more content. In fact, we're going to be increasing the content of the show very soon with more daily updates, some more quick hits for you, and we'll keep these two-man shows coming too. But please, like I said, hit that subscribe, hit that like. That really helps us out. You guys have an amazing Thanksgiving. For Mr. FOMO, this is AZ Crypto. Have a great holiday, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.